So today in this quick update, I will do it mostly in English. We can take the question in French at the end. Les questions vont pouvoir être en français à la fin, on va pouvoir y répondre. Il y a mes partenaires, Charles-Olivier Tarte, Chief Financial Officer, will talk about mostly the financing part, and my Chief Operating Officer, who's now very busy at building the project, will do a quick update as well on the construction and the mobilization on site. So I'll be making forward-looking statement, so please read on the website the warning here, the cautionary statements. So what we're doing at NMG, quick recap. So now what we are closing this week is really the Matawinie project financing to launch the construction and declare FID once later this week the financing will be closed. So we expect about 31 months of construction overall to be in production toward the end of 2028. That's the goal of the construction team now. And later this year, we expect to bring the Bécancour Battery Material Plant that will take about a quarter of the production of the Matawinie mine to the same level, to FID. So both projects can align around end 2028, early 2029 to start of production on both projects. So that's the goal. And I remind you, we purchased the Whatnan Mining Project, huge potential to grow the business in the future. We've delivered a PEA 42-101 a few years ago on potentially doing 500,000 tons per annum, so 5 times the size of the Matawinie mine. So now that the team is getting into construction on Matawinie, there's a few people in the company that will start more closely working on Whatnan and make sure that the Whatnan Mining Project also working with the Pessamit First Nation. So we're actively discussing with them and seeing how we can have a framework agreement to get started on this project. So that's the first step to do that. So where the tons will go. So in graphite, there's 3 big market segments that we are seeing. But first of all, a lithium-ion battery is a big market segment. So we have this offtake with Panasonic Energy. Will take about a quarter of the production. So that's going for lithium-ion battery market. E&I, our new investor from Italy, have a side letter where we are currently negotiating a 15,000 ton of flake graphite, or its equivalent in active anode material, with some of their investment company and some of their supply chain partners. So we are currently looking at potentially doing a similar thing we're doing in Bécancour, potentially in Europe, working on expanding our active anode material business. So you can expect about half of the production of the Matawinie mine will be going for lithium-ion battery. And then 2 other important offtake, one with Traxys, obviously for the very important market, refractory bricks for the European and for the US markets. And then the government of Canada also making an offtake for, I would say, mainly all the other specialty graphite that are very important, represent about 200 different customers. Not very practical for us to negotiate 200 small offtakes. So great leadership. We were in fact last week in Brussels at the European Union with the government of Canada to show the other G7 countries, the good example on how we are fixing the graphite issue to become this supplier for all the allied countries. So very good structure that I really believe will be long-term beneficial for Canada and for the project. So Panasonic Energy, obviously, very good partner for us, working since 2020, I guess. We started the qualification with that partner, is very committed to establishing the localization of supply chain. They have the main business they're in now. It's for sure EV is also very important, but also all the data center and the backup batteries is a very important market for them. And we know in the US it's a booming market. So a very good partner for us. We expect more to follow on that. They have announced, I guess, in the press release recently on the project finance of Matawinie Mine, their intention to look at investing potentially in equity for FID in later this year on Bécancour. So good partner. Obviously, Canadian government, I discussed about it, very key. I know we will, by a margin, have the largest graphite mine of all the G7 countries. And this is quite important, very topical these days. We need to have an alternative to a dominant player now. So we need to have this graphite not only for the industrial purposes and for batteries, but also for defense-related and dual applications. So this is great partnership we have with the Canadian government. And obviously the refractory market, the US are currently importing 100% of their needs in graphite. It's 500,000 tons, give or take, going for refractory bricks in the world. The US now with the current tariff regime, they do need a lot of graphite to make those bricks for the steel making industry that is going on in the US. So, and the same with Europe. So good market, we need to be there. We have the right offtake and the right partners in Traxys to deliver in this market. So maybe I can hand over to our Chief Financial Officer, and if somebody deserves a big thank you and congratulations is Charles and all his finance team. They delivered a phenomenal project finance, great performance. So congrats, Charles.
Thanks, Eric, and good morning, everyone. As you outlined, we delivered a successful project finance today, and thanks again for the support of the shareholder on the resolution that has been passed around this project finance structure. So basically, this is comprised of two different important pieces. The first piece being the equity that was announced in April. So this is comprised of long-standing investor in CGF and Investissement Québec participating for about half of the financing, and our new shareholder ENI, which is a large oil and gas with close to $100 billion US of market cap that is today diversifying in the critical mineral space. So happy to welcome that shareholder. And to complete this equity transaction, we announced a bought deal offering with our partners at BMO and National Bank. So thanks for the support of everyone involved in this transaction. So that just outline, the strong support that's been provided by all those investors. With regards to the senior debt, we had the benefit of working with CIB and EDC for close to 2 years, going through all the due diligence process, namely all the technical due diligence that is required by those financial institutions, and also, more importantly, everything related to environmental and social. So a lot of due diligence that has been done by those partners. Really happy to have announced this piece of this transaction back in March to underpin the project finance. And basically what we are announcing today or shortly after the shareholder meeting is the closing of those transactions that will declare FID on the Matawinie Mine Project and support the bankability of the North American graphite production and supply in future years. So moving on in more detail on the debt piece, we have a strict and structured drawdown process with all the senior lenders. So basically everyone that have done due diligence throughout the course of this project will be supporting the project in the next phase of the development. And all our team is laser focused on delivering all the required technical and ENS oversight to support the drawdown process. So we will have ongoing reporting, budget control that will be disclosed on a quarterly basis in our MD&A, and also a strict use of fund, which is against eligible capital expenditure to support the development of the Matawinie mine. So again, a thorough process that has been done and really support the next phase of development of Nouveau Monde. Moving on into the capital structure. So pre-transaction, we had about $60 million of Canadian cash on hand. So post-transaction, we will be adding around $450 million of cash on hand. So really, the full funding package to get Matawinie to production. And again, we are happy to have a strong shareholder base with Investissement Québec, with CGF, E&I, our new shareholder, Talingers, our long-standing shareholder since 2019, and other large corporations such as Mitsui, Panasonic, and General Motors. So really strong shareholder base to support the next phase of development for Matawinie, which Bernard Perron, our Chief Operating Officer, will update us on recent development on the project and supporting the construction phase for Matawinie Mine. So thanks again, and moving the puck here to you, Bernard.
Great, and before we let Bernard do his update, so first of all, a big thank you for all those years of partnership with the local community, especially the First Nation, the Atikamekw First Nation in the town of Saint-Michel-des-Saints. So great partnership. We have the IBA since 2024. We have received the decree on the project in 2021. So we're very happy to be a major actor in the local community now to develop this project and partnership. So we'll be building basically in the next 30 months 106,000 ton concentrator, and all the mining, all the mine as well, prep work will be made. So maybe Bernard can update us on more details.
Yes, thank you very much, Eric. Thanks a lot, Charles-Olivier. After many years of preparation, we're now ready to mobilize and ready for construction. I can touch a little bit on the preparation. All those years we've done tremendous amount of testing with our demonstration plant to make sure that the concentrator will be designed exactly to process our graphite with the results that and the quality that has been vetted by our customers. We also have done a lot of engineering, many years of it, and we're now fully ready to start the construction on the strong foundation. We have started mobilizing about 6 weeks ago. You can see evidence of it there. We have moved our offices on site as well as equipment and manpower. The first activities have started. The first task when we came to site was to continue the development that we had started over the years. We have made investments over the years into an access road, as well as preparing the site for the start of construction. So now we're finishing the ancillary roads on site, and we're starting by the first activities of excavation. I would like to touch a little bit on our approach and strategy when it comes to execution. The model that we have selected is the integrated team approach, and we believe that it is definitely the strategy that will help us the most to have success on this project. And what it means that Nouveau Monde will remain in charge of the project, will play a central role in coordinating the execution of the project, and we will rely on the strengths of partners within our integrated team. For example, Atkins Realis, very well known for its strengths in engineering, especially in the mining sector, will continue to be our engineering firm. And we selected Pomerleau to be our construction manager on site, not as a construction contractor, but as our representative in construction management, that are supplemented by our own leaders in construction on site. Finally, we will be leading the commissioning, but using procedures developed by consultants and experts in the field of commissioning. This integrated team has been assembled. We've selected all the team members, and that team is mobilized. We were actually about 4 weeks ago, we did a retreat to make sure that We developed that spirit of cooperation. Everybody feels as one team and wears the Nouveau Monde hat by diving a little bit in the roles and responsibilities of everyone and making sure that we're absolutely ready for the start of construction. One of the strengths of this project was our ability to go to market and secure over 50% of our capex through firm bids, through contracts, and selected also early partners that contribute to the design. That's a very important element, to bring contractors early in the process, to make sure that they can make sure that whatever is being designed will also be easy to construct or well adapted to the construction. One of our key partner, the very first contractor that is coming to site, is a joint venture between Fournier and the First Nation of Matawinie. That JV is now has been formed. We have our contract signed, and Matawinie Fournier is now the first contractor working on site. We have spent quite a bit of time in developing our construction strategy and making sure that we have our detailed schedule that will allow us to have a clear understanding as to the sequence of work. This, as Eric mentioned, this is going to be about 30 months between now and the beginning of operation. We have all of the permits right now necessary in place to start the construction. Our insurance packages are in place, and we are ready to go. This gives you a bit of a sense of the kind of planning that I'm talking about. We have a very detailed 3D model of the concentrator, as well as that we use in order to develop our construction sequence. When we do that kind of planning, it allows us to really understand when the activities need to occur. It also allows you to identify any potential conflicts that might happen between the various contractors on site. So that's part of the very detailed planning that we've done, and we look forward to tackle the construction of that concentrator. Now I will pass it back to Eric to talk to us about the Bécancour project. Thank you.
Thanks, Bernard. Yeah, so, obviously it's a big milestone to have the foundation of the company, having the mine in construction now. So we know we will deliver that concentrate toward the end of 2028. But now the important thing as well is start to plan the optimization of the sales of that concentrate. And one of the key project for us is to take a quarter of the production to transform it into Bécancour to honor the 13,000 ton offtake we have with Panasonic, great partners. So we have selected a brownfield facility that we have announced recently to significantly reduce the time of construction by about a year, we estimate, and also reduce by about 25% the capex intensity per ton. So this is really the metric that we need to compete with our competitor in Asia, is making sure we build faster and we have the best capex intensity per ton. OPEX wise, we're very, very competitive. But so this is really the update we are doing now. So toward the summer, so maybe just before July, we'll be able to update the feasibility study we have, just make sure we have all the economics in hand at the class 3 updated with this brownfield strategy to hand over a full package to our various stakeholders to start planning an FID in the second half of this year. So that's a very important growth project for us. We found a good solution to be competitive in the market, and that's something we want to duplicate potentially as well in other jurisdictions, potentially in Europe. So now we have a lot of new stakeholders coming in the company. So in the next few months, our goal is really to sit with each of our important shareholders to really discuss about growth opportunities. So I think the mine is great, but what are we doing next to grow this business to many multiples? So we have a lot of different things we're evaluating. Obviously, Bécancour is important. Expansion in Europe. There's a lot of downstream customers that are very interesting for us to work with, like to tackle other verticals for defense sector, for polymers, for thermoplastic. Graphite goes in many other things, and just having a concentrate, it's not exactly what the G7 economy needs. We need to transform it in a usable product, and that's something we are very active doing. Obviously, there's Matawinie Mining Project also that we can build more of concentrate. But one thing that we want to point out specifically that we are currently evaluating very closely. You probably notice the sulfur market is quite challenging these days in terms of supply, thanks to what's happening in the Middle East and what's happening in China in reaction to what's happening in Middle East. So the price for sulfur is skyrocketing. So we do have a lot of sulfur on the project. If you remember, we were already splitting what we call the non-acid generating tailings with the acid generating tailings that we call PAG. So we are already putting a lot of work in our processing plant that we are building now to concentrate what we call the PAG here, and it contains about 14 to 18% sulfur with a lot of different byproducts like nickel, like cobalt, zinc. So all those things are quite attractive, and we are currently running back of the envelope work, starting some, even some piloting, some work to see if there is a good potential to tap in that market. So and be able to upgrade this into sulfuric acid or molten sulfur. So that's very interesting project that we're starting to develop, and we are looking forward to give more color on that in the future, considering the project is fully financed, and I think that those kinds of byproduct could be very accretive to the economics of the project. So that's all. We're ready to take some question, if there's any, Julie.
Bonjour. So we're inviting shareholders who have questions to use the button on the left of their screen to submit questions. Les questions peuvent être posées en français ou en anglais et on y répondra du mieux qu'on peut pour vous donner un aperçu du marché, l'avancement du projet ou toute question que vous pouvez avoir. J'en profite également pour vous rappeler que Marc Jasmin, notre directeur relations aux investisseurs, demeure disponible en tout temps si vous avez des questions qui surgissent ou si on n'a pas le temps de répondre à vos interrogations ce matin. We'll also be making the presentation available on our YouTube channel if you wish to go back and look at some of the content that was presented this morning. So we'll take a minute to see if questions do come in.
Too easy.
Well, if we don't have any questions, I'll just remind people in English that you may reach out to Marc Jasmin, our Investor Relations Director, for any follow-up questions, and we'll wish everyone a good day.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.